Hey, how's it going, everyone? How is it going? We got a special show for you today on our Thursday live, and it's gonna be me solo today. Damon has prior engagements and is not able to join me, and I'm gonna have an interesting talk about adding on services to your detailing business and making sure that they're going to be profitable, how to calculate your ROI, what ROI is. And the reason that I kind of want to jump into this topic is I see some of the guys adding on services or wait, that may not be really beneficial for their business, especially if it's like a one-man show and if you just keep piling thing on after thing on after thing on, you could turn into like jack of all trades and master of none. There's a phrase that's something like that. And what you don't want to do is have a whole bunch of half-assed opportunities where you're not doing a great job. And I think that it's a really, really big to try to really establish yourself and be very efficient at one thing before you start adding things on. So let's just dive right into this. Welcome to the details. Nope, that's not this at all. But well, we're gonna dive into. Nope, I see a huge error in my ways here, y'all. I see a huge error in my ways, and that's okay because we got backups. Oh yes, we do. Yes, we do. So. Welcome back to the Thursday live session. I know that you're used to seeing Damon and myself here, but today I'm going to be running solo. And we're going to dive into a really important topic that can take your detailing business to the next level. I just want to assure that everyone is doing this and they're jumping in with their eyes wide open when they start adding stuff to their business. So today we're going to be talking about maximizing your revenue through add-on services and understanding ROI. I know it's a big leap when you're thinking about adding new services, for anything from ceramic coatings to PPF, interior protection, interior repair, paintless dent repair, windshield repair. And you might think, is this worth this investment to me? If we kind of think about some of the things that you could add on to your business, might be really expensive. And it may take a long time. Again, this is where I really want to just stress. I was going to add paintless dent repair to my business at one point. And after speaking with several PDR people, I mean, they do absolutely fantastic. But I was a small detailing business. It was mostly just me. I had one employee with me generally at a time. There was a time back in the early days that I had 3 employees. But generally speaking, it was me and one employee. And to become proficient at adding paintless dent repair to your business, you really, from what I understand, it takes about a year of practicing until you get like good and efficient and where you can really start to make money. So had I done that, I would have, maybe never become really good at it because I was trying to add too darn many things into the mix. I did add a service of windshield repair, and I kind of sidestepped around how I did it, which made it so it was pretty profitable. I found a used kit on eBay. I didn't go pay a couple $1,000s to learn how to do it. The guy who was doing my windshield repairs for me and my paintless dent repair, actually, back in the day, he would just kick me back 20% of everything that he did. But I noticed a lot of cars had a windshield that had either a star or a bullseye or a crack in it. And I thought, well, heck, if I'm already here detailing these cars, I might as well add this service to my business. And it wasn't really hard to learn, and it didn't cost me a lot of money, is my point. I just went and bought a used kit for maybe like $120, and I did a couple jobs. I got my ROI completely taken care of, and I was off and running. So today, let's break down exactly how we can evaluate ROI in these services and how to do market research to know that you're making a smart business decision to actually grow your revenue. Again, what I really want to hopefully do here is have that guy who's just really eager and he just keeps adding on a whole bunch of things, never really getting proficient at them. And then all of a sudden you've got this big business of just sloppiness where you're really not even super professional at any of those services. So I find this one actually kind of hard to believe, but a lot of guys still out there, detail shops. There are some detail shops who do not even have a ceramic coating. We're going to touch on a whole bunch of these. So let's dive into how you can evaluate these new services for your business. All right, so first things first, what is ROI and why should you even care? And ROI, of course, means return on investment. And it's simply a way of measuring how much profit or return you're getting compared to the cost of your investment. So for example, let's say you're thinking about adding a service like PPF. You're going to need to invest in equipment, products, training, possibly even some extra labor, to help you do it. Again, this is where we really have to kind of think proactively. If you're already stacked up to the gills with work and you know that there's a need for PPF, but you don't have any time to put into it, well, spending a couple $1,000s on a training class, $1,000 on a plotter, and a few $1,000s on some materials so you can do this, then you're going to have to market it and then take care of the work. It could be in a situation, if you're a very small shop, that farming that work out might actually work out best for you. So the ROI helps you figure out if you're actually going to make money on the investment. And the formula is really simple. It's your net profit divided by the cost in the investment. So say if you invested $5,000 in some new equipment and you make $7,000 of profit on that service over time, your ROI would in that case be 140%. And that's pretty solid. And I'm not poo-pooing on anything or adding businesses. I'm just saying a lot of fellas that I see, they're like, hey, I'm going to add on paintless dent repair without really considering what it takes to do that. Growing and scaling a business is absolutely that's what we're here for, so we can make money. So why does ROI matter? Well, if you don't want to add new services without knowing whether or not that it's actually going to grow your business, what the heck are you doing? If you don't calculate your ROI, you can end up losing money, wasting time, and just having something that's on your plate that's not even profitable. So when you're calculating your ROI, here's what you need to think about. The initial costs. That is going to include things like your equipment, products, the training. For example, if you're going to add ceramic coatings, you're going to have to buy your ceramic coatings, the prep tools, polisher, and have a place to do it at, and maybe some kind of specialized training. There's going to be ongoing costs to any of these things. They're going to include the labor, product replenishment, marketing. You have a time investment. How long is it going to take you to complete the service? Especially when you're jumping into something newer like paint protection film. And it can take, or paintless dent repair. Those are the two that really kind of stick out for me. If you're just not prepared to take on that extra work, you can just be opening up a can and getting yourself in trouble. Then you're going to have to think about the pricing. How much are your customers willing to pay for the service? I mean, I've talked about this in the live before. It drives me absolutely crazy when I see somebody jump into one of the forums and they say, hey, how much should I charge for this job XYZ? And, who knows? That's a whole nother discussion that I absolutely love having. But you got to do some market research. Find out what people are paying for. Does it cover the cost and leave room for a profit? And then you got to think of your profit margin. You need to mark up any of your services enough to cover the cost and still have a healthy profit. For example, say you're offering ceramic coatings for $1,200 per car. Your cost per car, including labor and product, is somewhere around $500. That means you're profiting $700 on the car. If you invest $5,000 in equipment and you make that back after 7 cars, then you're in the profit territory. I mean, adding ceramic coatings to your detailing business is literally a no-brainer. It does not take that incredibly much to add that service, and it is very profitable, and it's a great thing to add. So ROI is essentially for knowing whether an investment is worth it in your business or not. So now let's talk a little bit about the market research, okay? And I think that this may be a spot where a lot of us don't do enough due diligence prior to adding a service. So how you figure out, what services are going to make sense to your business. They can sound like a great idea, but you might be, after doing enough market research to see what your investment's going to be, how long it's going to take you to make that back, if you have customers in your market who are going to buy that for you, and what it's going to take to put yourself in front of them so you can actually sell it. So knowing your customers, I mean, that's just something that literally everybody should be doing anyway. You should make a StoryBrand brand guide and put that into whatever system you're using to help with your marketing, so you know your customer exactly and you're speaking to the right person. Not every service is going to be a hit with every customer. Some people go their entire life and they have door dings on their car and they never care to get it taken out. Some people who live in the Midwest, they get smashed by hail and they have to get their entire car done, and it all gets paid through insurances. Those guys make a ton of money. They do really, really, really good. But if you're in an area with a lot of high-end car owners and you want to focus on premium services like PPF and ceramic coatings, but if all of your customers, we have some of the guys in the network who have a little bit harder of a time selling those services. Maybe they're just in an area where it's a lot of farmers who don't necessarily care about that vehicle, but then they're opening up the can on the other side and they're putting the coating on tractors, where the guys are spending $500,000 and they lease a tractor for a few years and then they want to turn it back in and have it still be worth something. So you got to ask yourself, who are my customers? Are they luxury car owners, daily drivers, and what do they want and need? What problems can you solve for them? Doing research into your competitors is huge. Look at what the other detailers in your area are offering. Are they already doing the services that you're looking into, or is there a gap in the market for it? I was speaking with somebody yesterday. Oh, I talk to too darn many people every day. I was talking to somebody and they had and this part of the discussion would be so much better if I remembered who it was and what it was about. But they had uncovered that there was a big gaping hole in a need for a service, and they're marching right into it. And that's about all I could say about that at this moment. If there's no one offering, say, PPF in your area, then you have the opportunity to be the first one in the market. And if everybody's already offering it, you need to figure out how to differentiate yourself, whether that's going to be a better service, better quality, better pricing. Essentially, what you don't want to do is just come in and just meld into the background with everybody else. Always be thinking about what you do that's better or different than anybody else. Then you have to do your pricing research. And again, this is one that always kind of drives me crazy. I don't think guys put enough effort into their pricing research. I mean, first of all, you have to know kind of what your cost of labor is, what profit margin you want to keep, how much money it costs per hour during the business hours that you're open to run your business. I had a really, really enlightening talk with Christian Turner yesterday. And, he kind of alluded to me that just to keep his shop running, like it's a minimum of like $500 a day. That day in, day out, that much money has to be made every day just to break even. I bet most guys don't really know the answer to that. Once you know what services you want to offer, you find out how much people are willing to pay for them, and you check out your competitors. You call them up. I know this drives people crazy when another detailer calls and they start asking you questions. I think if you're going to do that, be on the up and up with whoever you're talking to, and Tell them that you're adding some services. Maybe they're going to be standoffish because they're in the same area. There's actually a lot more strength in working with people, even people that are your competitors. It's not necessarily a negative thing. Competition in a capitalist society is actually a really good thing. It keeps everybody kind of on the up and up, and maybe doing even better work than they would be doing. You don't want to underprice yourself, but you also need to stay competitive. For an example, let's say that you're considering offering PPF, and you look around and you realize that very few detailers in your area are offering it. And after you do some research, you find out that your local competitors are charging $1,500. I'm just going to use kind of even numbers here to make it nice. Your cost per car is around $600. And maybe this is just for, one service. Now, you could charge more or you could charge the same because you're offering something unique, but you still are making $900 profit per job. So let's say you've done all the research and now you're thinking about adding new service. How do you properly assess if it's a good fit for your business? Define the service. You got to be clear about what you're offering. If it's ceramic coatings, PPF, or maybe even a maintenance plan, you calculate the investment of how much it's going to cost in terms of equipment, training, and products. Then you estimate the revenue based on your market research that we've just established that you've done. How many customers that you can expect. And that's, that's another thing. As we put these in, we look at all of the analytics in our business. And I know that a lot of the guys, it's really easy to get into a detailing business. I'm living proof of that. When I started my business back in 2004, I literally had no clue. I just had a passion for cleaning cars, and it worked out really well. But I just had no clue. And there's still so many guys, there's so many resources available that were not available back then. Just the research that you can do on the internet alone. I mean, gosh, there was no Facebook when I started detailing my detailing business. And that's just crazy. So if you're going to calculate the numbers, you have to do that by taking all of those factors into consideration to know if it's going to be viable. And then evaluate your time commitment. How long is it going to take to perform this? If you're already slammed busy with doing other services, do you even have time to add this in? Maybe that's the perfect opportunity to add another employee to your business. Then you want to assess the market demand. Is this actually something that customers want? It's really easy to do that now just by looking at other people's business. And I'm sure that you have tons of connections to other people in the industry who talk. Now, I will say this is just a little funny thing from talking to so many darn detailers all the time. Maybe everybody's not completely 100% above board on the up and up when they're saying how successful they are or what their struggles are. So kind of take some things with a grain of salt. Some people talk out the side of their neck. But what if we were to, because we have a nice CRM with a robust, dedicated customers in it for you, maybe this is a perfect time where you do a survey with your customers who you've already worked with to find out, are these services interesting? Now you're going right into that client base and you're doing another thing. You're telling them that you're adding this service on. So not only are you getting great information from people you've already done business with, but you're kind of letting them know that this is coming out, and they feel like they're more a part of your business because you're asking for their opinion and their feedback. So let's say you're thinking about offering a maintenance plan for ceramic coated vehicles. As a mobile detailer, this was my bread and butter. This is what kept me afloat all the time. I would take people on as a maintenance client if they either got a full detail or a ceramic coating. And then I'd go every week or every other week and wash their car. If it was back in the old days when it was a wax, I'd wax their car every quarter, an interior full detail once a year. With the ceramic coated cars, you just don't have to do that much stuff. But a nice decon wash, which really never even had to happen, because if you take on somebody as a maintenance customer, you're just going to take care of those problems all the time. But say you charge $200 for a quarterly visit, and each visit costs you $100 in labor and products. You're basically making $100. So if you can get 10 clients to do that, that's $4,000 in annual revenue with pretty much minimal overhead. The key is to take time to assess these services before you just jump in. Let me repeat that. The key is to take time to do some of the homework and evaluate and do market research before you pick something up. It doesn't matter if it's glass repair, again, paintless dent repair, interior leather repair, bumper repair. Make sure that if you're going to put your hard-earned money out there, that it is something that you are going to get an ROI on. How long is it going to take you to get that ROI? And then you got to keep track of it. So that's just kind of a big overview of adding these services on. I think that doing your due diligence is really important. I think that adding services on and scaling your business is really important. I really, really do. All right, so it's a little different today because, let's see, is anybody making any comments or questions or anything over here for me? We got Daniel Rollins, Mr. Growing Plants in Florida. How are you doing, man? If anybody has any questions or comments, feel free, just pop them up here. I see we've had, 5 or 10 people on here pretty much the whole time, so I know somebody's out there paying attention. And usually, again, I just want to reiterate, Damon is usually on this with me, but today he had prior commitments, so I'm just running solo. Feeling like a cam girl, because nobody's asking a question. So we do send out a survey ourselves to our DIY type of customers, as well as to some of our authorized installers, and we ask them to send in questions. And I guess I will just dive right into that. If anybody wants to revisit anything that we just talked about, absolutely would love to talk about it. And maybe before I jump into this section, we still are offering Fix This Next business coaching for anybody in our network. I believe it is to the point now where some of the business coaching that I'm doing is on the side. And that will be going directly through me and my SoCal Detail Supply, one of my other businesses that I own. Anybody can just go to DANNWilliams.com, take your free business assessment. Just because you take that, it doesn't even matter if we never do any work together. Most business owners' biggest problem is they do not know what their biggest problem is, so they're running around trying to put out fires left and right, front and back. It's called survival trap, and you just get stuck, and you do not accomplish things until you can put that effort into a specific thing, work on your most vital need. So what that assessment will do is it will highlight your most vital need. If we never work together, it is absolutely okay. You're still going to find out where you should be focusing your energy. Another thing with this kind of business coaching, this isn't something where you have to get locked in and we have to work together and you're in a 5-year contract or anything. A lot of the people that I do work with, we're good after 1 to 3, 4 months, and then we've kind of cleared up whatever the thing is. I think that the guys that do come in and work together with us in this, they learn a whole bunch about some of the stuff that we were just talking about, how to properly price, how to look at some of these analytics. And then, you off and running. You run into some more problems, you take another assessment, we stay in touch, and we can work together more. So there's no real commitment to this. Yeah. Okay, it says Sean Rakestraw says, I love hearing the planes fly over every 5 minutes. Miss Southern California. Heck yeah. Over here at my house, I'm on the sort of the other side of San Diego than Dustin's shop where you were. And over at the beach where you were staying, I'm on the airplanes coming into land side. If you were in Ocean Beach, you were in the airplanes taking off side. But San Diego misses you too, Sean. It really does. All right, so let's dive into some of these questions. Anybody else has any more, feel free to throw them up at me, and I will do my best to answer them for you. Number one, these are some of the DIY sent in questions. What's the best way to maintain a ceramic coating if I don't have a professional detailer nearby? Is it worth doing it myself, or should I hire a professional? This is really going to always come down to a few factors. Can you do it yourself? Yeah, you can. But I could do my front yard myself, which is all landscaped and there's bushes and it needs to have weeds pulled and bushes need to get trimmed all the time. It's more valuable to me to pay somebody else to come and do that for me on a monthly basis than it is to spend my time out there doing that. I make more money by working than the money that I spend doing it. Similar to having your car done, where if maybe you're somebody that likes to go out there, you can absolutely take care of the car. You can go on ownerspride.com and buy the same products that detailers use. We have professional products without the professional problems. So you could get some Eco Wash and some Spotless and some ceramic detail spray and maintain your car just by washing it. Don't even have to pull it out of your garage. The most luxurious and best way for the connoisseur of a clean car is to utilize somebody as a professional detailer. Some of the advantages to doing that if you're working with your detailer, and I will say, if you go to ownerspride.com and click on Find an Installer, you are going to find the best group of professional detailers that they have ever made, Great detailers. and just choose from them. But here's what happens when you go to a professional detailer, or at least this is how my service was. I didn't nickel and dime people. If you had a little stain on your carpet or, there's a little issue, I would just take care of that. So it is the best way to take care of your car, hands off, and just to go get in a really nice car. And I think that was kind of how I defined a lot of my customers that I had aligned myself with, which were, they were just affluent people who wanted to go get in their clean Mercedes or BMW and go about their day. I was just something that operated in the background. Next question. Is it worth doing a ceramic coating myself, or should I hire a professional? All right, this again, there's more than one way to look at this. You can do it yourself. I know we're kind of making a push right now through my other effort on the Details podcast, where I have a really large audience of car culture people, whether they're in the classic cars or show cars or race cars. And a lot of the guys who have a classic car like this, they like to go out and polish it and take care of it and baby it themselves. Maybe this isn't a great thing for you to do. Now, if you have a daily driver, there's the difference that's going to come with doing it yourself. We do have ceramic coatings. OP Pro and OP X Lite are self-healing coating for consumers that you can do yourself. What do you have to take into consideration to do that? Well, even if we were going to want to do a decon wash on a car first, it's not as simple as just you wash the car and put some ceramic coating on it. So there are a few steps if you want to have any chance of longevity on the product that you're putting on, because it actually really adheres right to your substrate of your paint, and cleaning that surface off as best as possible prior to putting something on means you're not going to be sealing stuff in underneath it. Additionally, if your paint is all scratched up, putting that extra layer of gloss on top might illuminate it more. So I think that washing your car with Eco Wash, of course, using a Decon X or some kind of a iron oxide remover to take those little metal pieces from fallout and your brake pads and everything out of the paint, and a clay towel. You're also going to want to do at least a one-step polish on the car, so that's going to be some Owner's Pride compound and a polisher of some sort. Even if you go to like Harbor Freight, you're still going to spend $100 on a polisher. So we're just kind of like looking at the investment that it takes to do this yourself. Time, it's gonna take a day for you if you're new to this and you don't have a flow in place. Paint prep, the ceramic coating, and those are the things you're gonna need. So what are we looking at there? So 1, 2, 3. We're looking at about maybe between around $400 of product and tools. Now these tools you're going to be able to use later. So you're already invested that much, and then a day of your time. When you get it done with a professional detailer, they either come to you or you drop it off and they just take care of it for you. You get your car and it's all done. Also, if you use a professional detailer, you have the opportunity, at least with owner's pride, to have a compliant warranty with your ceramic coating. So I like to say, if somebody has a daily driver, utilizing the owner's pride 3, 5, or 7 year coating makes a ton of sense, because it has a nationwide warranty where you call a 1-800 number and your claim gets adjudicated, and that's really cool. If you're doing your car yourself, you do not have the opportunity to have a warranty behind it. So that's just a few of the differences. But yeah, you absolutely can. I think that we're going to start working on a little bit of videos that will be on our website for our DIY type of detailer. And by all means, if you are somebody who is out there and you are following from the Details podcast, and you have a special car and you want to talk about doing it yourself, I would absolutely be willing to sit down with you on video. We could kind of go over it, and that literally goes for any consumer out there. But if you want to get a warranty with it and you want to have somebody else do the work, a professional detailer is absolutely the way to go. The next question. And again, anybody, if you got questions or comments, throw them right into the comments here and I can see them. Can I apply PPF to just the front of my car, or does it need to cover the whole vehicle? There are different levels. A couple weeks ago, I did a little video on putting PPF on just the headlights of a car. Or some people do their front bumper and the A-pillars and maybe the quarter panels and the hood. Some people do the entire car. Paint protection film is probably the safest way to really take care of your car. The funny thing is, nobody ever really talks about taking that PPF off, because one day down the road it's gonna have to come off, and that's a rigmarole in its own right, getting all that adhesive off and stuff. But no, you can do it on just the front. You can do it on any part of the car. Paint protection film, especially if it's a piece with any kind of curves, like a headlight or your mirror, or it's just a really expensive product, even to buy it, and it's not like completely readily available, because it does have a learning curve to it, similar to what we were talking about earlier. You can go to a class, but even if you go to a class, you're going to be kind of slow and it's going to take a while to get efficient. But you can put it on any darn part of your car that you want. The next question is, how long should I wait after getting PPF installed on my car before washing the car? Usually you're not going to want to wash a car with a ceramic coating, or I would say even a PPF, for a few days afterwards. We tell people with ceramic coating, keep it dry for the first 12 hours. Now, if you do get something on there like a bird poop or something, it's a good idea to take that off. But really, your car should be super clean when it gets done, and you should let everything dry out. I know that some of the liquid or moisture stays in the adhesive underneath, and over a few days that kind of all gases out, or not really gases out, I don't think I'm using the right terminology, dehydrates out. What's the difference between a wax, a sealant, and a ceramic coating? Well, wax was kind of the old school original protection that they put on cars, and it's really just kind of what it sounds like. It is you put on a cream or a paste onto the surface, it turns kind of white, you rub that off inside some of the little cracks and crevices and little striations in the paint, or little cuts, it'll fill some of that in. I remember there was this time that I was working on a black Corvette, and it had been at a body shop, actually at West Coast Corvettes up by the pond up in L.A. or Anaheim. I'm sorry. And they rotaried this whole car. It was a car that I took care of for a long time. And they rotaried it with a wool pad, the entire car. And it was just tore up. And I polished it for a really long time. I was, however, using a wax. And it looked like it was fantastic when I was done. And after a couple of washes, a lot of the marks came back. So I had to get a lot more aggressive and polish it. A sealant is something that is really easy to put on the car. Usually those come in liquids. They're going to be longer lasting than a wax because it's not, it's more of a chemical than an actual physical product that's sitting on the car like the build of a wax. And then a ceramic coating is a more permanent layer that goes onto the substrate, which it's protecting, in this case, or paint. And that usually makes a more of a chemical connection and becomes part of the paint of the substrate. And the only way that ceramic coatings come off of a car is by abrasion. Now, there are different kinds of ceramic coatings. You have your SiO2 ceramic coatings. Those are generally going to be a resin with nanoparticles of SiO2 or quartz. And that is very similar to how a sunscreen works, where you have a lotion and it has little pieces in there that are kind of reflecting the sun. And then you have an SiC coating, which silicon carbide is an actual chemical connection reaction that happens on the surface, which is a more thinner, more durable layer. The difference in those two kind of builds is an SiO2 coating generally, while it may be a little bit shinier, over time, if you were to think of a thin resin with nanoparticles in it, they kind of flake out and it leaves little voids, and you have to do something to kind of reestablish that. And a lot of the companies that offer that will have you come back in for a service once a year to fill in all of those voids. Silicon carbide coating is not going to have the necessity for that. There are other people with ceramic coatings that are adding different substituents into the backbone of the coating, and and that kind of gives you this spaghetti sauce analogy of all spaghetti sauces are kind of the same because they have sort of the same main ingredient, which is going to be tomatoes, but what spices and seasonings that each chef puts into there is going to be what makes it different, and so you have different manufacturers who do their testing and different chemists who make these products, and I'm sure that every one of them thinks that they have the absolute best product out there. So finding what really works great for you is the way to go. How do I know if my car needs paint correction before I apply ceramic coating? Well, I reckon you look at it, and if it looks all scratched up to you and looks like dog doo-doo, then I'm going to say it really does. If it looks absolutely fine to you, then you're good to go. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. A great example of this, a lot of times you see somebody, here's the example I use. Somebody is standing on a car lot and they see a car. They say, I want that brand new, beautiful car. Shiny, brand new. You as a detailer might look at that exact same car and go, holy crap, what did they do? Wash this thing with rocks and sand for the last 5 years? So first of all, that is going to say everybody does not see what we see. I cannot go through a parking lot without nitpicking every car, whether I say it out loud or just keep it to myself. Like pretty much every car I walk by, every foggy headlight, every bird crap stain, every scratch, every paint defect. It's really all I can see. But a regular person, you might not see all that. I do think, as we established earlier, though, even if you're going to do a ceramic coating yourself, doing a step, at least like a quick polish around that car to clean it up, get any of the old dead paint off of there, great idea. So our next one here: do maintenance plans for ceramic coatings really pay off, or should I just keep up with regular washes? Again, having a professional detailer take care of your car is the creme de la creme, best way to take care of that car. I believe if you look in the book that comes in the glove box with your car, the manual, they really just say to keep it clean. So no matter what you're doing, even if you're going through a spray off car wash or a tunnel car wash, keeping it clean, and you just can't let debris sit on that paint. While the paints are, semi-resilient, being a urethane paint. Hey, Sean, what's going on? Things like over time, letting fallout sit in that paint, or bird stains or bug guts, it's just going to have negative impacts, and acids and enzymes over time are going to degrade your paint. So again, if you want it to look best, Debris it is. Debris it is. How often should I have my ceramic coated car detailed? Even the word detailed is kind of a little bit of a loaded question. It means different things to different people. Some people saying just going to have your car washed at a detailer is going to be having it detailed. Some people, that's going to be extracting the carpets and doing a really deep clean in there. My cars, we wash at least every other week. If we're getting ready to go out on date night or something, I will go ahead and wash one of the cars. Angel will run hers through the tunnel car wash at the gas station every once in a while. It's ceramic coated. It looks fabulous. It's really not taking any beating. We don't have a lot of four-wheel drive muddy cars here in San Diego, or at least where we are in our neighborhood. So it's not really an issue with anything bad happening there. Can I apply ceramic coating over vinyl wrap and PPF? You absolutely can. And if you are a detailer and you're going to be doing this, or a regular DIY type of person, I'm going to say utilizing the OP Pro or the OPX Lite for the regular guy is going to be the best. And for a professional detailer, OPX or OP Pro. There's really no need to waste the warranty aspect of a 7-year coating on this. Also, you're going to look at your substrate being vinyl or PPF to drink in a little bit more of the ceramic coating as you put it on. Hey, we got some other things on here I didn't even see. I love what you're saying. What's up, Jacob? How are you doing, mister? What are your thoughts on Icon Rock Clear? Installers are charging $2,500 and it takes 2 hours to install. So I don't really have a huge opinion on it. I'm friends with Doug Reed. I think he's either with that company or used to be with that company, and I did a training with him in Denver at the Rupes facility maybe 3 months ago. So I will first say I really like Doug. Super nice guy. It's an interesting product. My last company, we had on a wipe-on clear coat product that was very similar. A lot of guys had a lot of trouble with the install. It was a little bit problematic to get to come out exactly like we wanted. I will say I saw the demo that Doug did with his company, which again, I'm not sure if that is his company or if he's with a different one now. What you're asking me sort of goes all the way back to the beginning of this live that we were doing, where we talked about the business topic was an ROI on the business. So what do I think about it? I honestly, yeah, you're right. Doug owns Snake Oil. Icon Rock Clear is a different one. We don't have that kind of a product in our company. Is there a need for it in the market? I think where I see it from my point of view over here, I don't poo-poo on anybody's anything. I'm here to support everybody. But I think if you're doing a lot of recon cars, it would be fantastic. If you're doing like dealership work where you got to get in there and do it for my personal cars and what my business that I'm a part of is selling, I suggest PPF and ceramic coating because that's the products that we have. Um, the demo that I did see Doug do was pretty darn cool. It looked pretty cool. Now this again though, this is where we have to do the market research to find out if this is something that you can sell to your customers. Who else is doing it around you? You've established that you have people are charging 2,500. It doesn't matter how long a service takes if there's value in it. I don't know how much the product cost, what the training costs, or anything about it. But those are the things that you really need to deep dive into and figure out for yourself and your business. Know how much money you have to spend, know how much labor it's going to take, know if there's time in your schedule for it, know because you've done market research that it's something that you can sell. And that was kind of the point of the beginning topic, that the business topic, before we got to the questions and answers, is that you really, really want to do your due diligence and make sure, no matter what service you're offering, that it's a smart service to add. I just hate to see somebody gobble up a whole bunch of their time and take a training and bring a service on and then not do anything with it. Because maybe if you do your market research and look at analytics and do your due diligence, you'll make smarter decisions in your business. And that's about all I got to say about that. So, okay, here we go. The next question, and then we're going to hop into 10 questions sent in by professional detailers. But here we go. What's the best DIY interior protection product to keep leather seats in top condition? So for any of our DIY people out there, just keeping the seats clean first of all. So if we have leather seats, think about not wanting to use something that's really high in pH or a really harsh chemical. I think that you're really pretty darn safe using Eco Wash because it is pH of 7, even in its concentrate form, and you're not going to do any damage to anything. And that's the most important. Some like degreasers and things that are like over 11 on the pH scale, you're really risking doing a lot of damage to a substrate when you get on there. Just keeping it clean, first of all, and then maybe using a little bit. We have a product called Dash Guard. It is an interior dressing. It's not real greasy like your old school Armor All. It just dries to a nice kind of satiny finish. It has a little bit of a little bit of kind of replenishing and keeping the surface protected. But I'm going to say cars come from the factory with some sort of a coating that's already on that seat. Over time, sliding your butt over it and sitting in it and it flexing it and everything, you start to get little cracks and fissures in that top coat that's on the leather. When I have my detailing business, I did offer a service. I did not do it very often, but Leather Eek oil, and I had done dyeing of a couple leather seats, and they were both in BMW M5s with tan leather seats. These are, I believe, an uncoated leather seat. So what I would do is I'd take the Leather Eek oil, put it all over the seat, with my hand, rub it in, shut the car up and let it sit in the sun, or if that wasn't an opportunity, I would turn the heater on and just let it heat up in there for a couple hours, and that kind of pulls all the salts and the oils and stuff out, and then use the steamer to take all of that off, and then I would sand the seat down lightly and literally like a paintbrush paint the dye onto the seat. But I only did it a couple times. That Leather Eek, though, is a great way to sort of replenish the oils in there and really deep clean the seats. I believe that the Leather Repair Company also has products for this, and I know that Richard, the owner of that company, is very, very much smarter in leather than I. Let's see here. We got another one down here. Jacob says, what are your thoughts on building a call center at your shop? There's a place in Virginia that does that. Now that is pretty darn smart. I know we do have a couple of people in our network who have, they have a person who is chasing leads and actively reaching out for business. And I can say those shops that do that are thinking on a larger level than the guy who's just going out and washing some cars in a mobile detailing business, by themselves. So yeah, it depends. The cool thing about detailing is it is whatever in the heck you want it to be. You want to grow a business and have 10 employees in 2 buildings and scale it like that, you absolutely can. You want to be 70 years old putting tire dressing on a tire, you can do that too. We know that part of the biggest part of the game, and where a lot of detailers do drop the ball in this process, is exactly in that, not having a call center or just not following up on leads. And if you're spending money on marketing and you have leads coming in, you call them once and you don't follow up, and you don't have a system in place, and with text messages and emails and phone calls and even emails that are in template form so they can be fired off to these people, you're probably leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. So I think that's absolutely great. And yes, Jacob, that is super smart. Okay, here we go. We have 10 questions. How are we looking on time here? Woo! We got 8 minutes left. Holy moly. 10 questions. We'll see how many of them we get through. Nope, we already talked about that at the beginning. What's the best way to do research and see what my competitors are charging for similar services? I would say probably just going on their website. If you're going to call somebody, don't be that guy that's calling and poking around trying to get answers and wasting somebody's time. Again, what somebody else is charging really doesn't matter for your business. You could have somebody in there who's like undercutting everybody and nobody wins a race to the bottom. You have to do your due diligence to know how much your cost of business is, static mode to cover all of your monthly expenses, and then be able to know how many hours you're going to be working. And it's just a formula. You got to do your homework. If you want to grow, these are things that you just have to do. How do I price add-on services without undercutting myself? Well, again, see what the market is looking like. See how much you have to make. If you want to make a 10% profit on your services and your cost of business is X, then you have to make X plus 10% to get there. If you're doing it and you're going under that, you're just kind of spinning your wheels and slowly circling the drain. How long does it take? How long does it take to see ROI for training on PPF and equipment? Again, that's where we just have to put this all together and put those numbers in front of ourselves to calculate how long that is. For example, I have an apartment on top of my garage. This is not necessarily for detailing, but it cost me about $80,000 to build that apartment up there. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I was just, a few weeks ago, I was thinking about this. If I've had it rented out for 8 years at, we'll just say at $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. And then it took me, six and a half years-ish to get my ROI, which means I paid for everything that it cost me to put that up there, and now it's just making profit because it's already paid itself back. What is the best way to upsell a ceramic coating to a customer who only wants a basic detail. I think that to do this most effectively is to educate them and tell them what the difference is going to be. There's this thing in business where they say if you're looking at somebody and you're trying to sell something, that you should imagine that they're on their forehead it says what's in it for me. Like nobody wants to spend $1,200 on something if there's really no reason for them to do it. So what are the reasons that people get ceramic coating on their car? Some people maybe are just trying to keep up with the Joneses and they're in a car club and all their friends have a ceramic coating, so they got to get it too. Some people maybe they had a car that was in rough condition before, and as expensive as cars are now, they know that it needs to be taken care of better, and it just depends really on what is going to resonate with that customer exactly. And to get there, we'll jump into another topic here, but and to get to that point, you have to ask them questions. So maybe in the sales process that you have, you're talking to them and you ask what problems they've seen on their car before. And if they, I a lot of times I say, and this is a true story, the biggest selling point for me when I have my detailing business was something that everybody could relate to. And I would say, have you ever seen when a bird poops on your car and it etches into the paint, and then no matter what you do, that ring is just stuck there and it never comes off? And most people are like, yep, I have seen that before. And most people don't like it. So I would say, well, this is what our ceramic coating does. It's impervious to acids and enzymes. As you have this sacrificial layer that's not going to allow that more delicate paint underneath there to get damaged. And it's listed on Carfax. So when you go to sell your car and somebody looks on Carfax to buy a used car, they're going to see that a ceramic coating was put on there. So they're going to know that this car was taken care of. It was better. Maybe it's not worth it to some people. And that is really knowing your customer and knowing what you're putting out there. I would say in the sales process that I teach to people, I think if somebody calls, even if they just want a basic car wash, I'm still going to throw out my biggest, baddest, most expensive, all-inclusive package that I have for the full polish, 10-step paint correction, ceramic coating on the wheels and calipers, coating on the glass, interior, yada, yada, yada for $2,700. And that kind of sets that extreme anchor out there. So all of a sudden, now when we talk about a $799 ceramic coating, that sounds like a pretty good deal when you contrast it to the other. Psychology. But basically, ask them questions, find out what resonates with them. You can only really sell something to somebody if it's something that they need and they can understand why they need it, how it's going to make their life better, how they're going to be able to survive and thrive. Maybe you do that by making a story and putting them in that hero position, where you talk about what their life was going to look like if they do get a ceramic coating and what their life can look like without. That's a little bit of a fear tactic, but makes them see what you're talking about. How do I know if there's enough demand for a service like PPF in my market? Well, first of all, I would look around and see who else is offering it and kind of gauge from there. That would be the biggest thing. Maybe if you find that nobody's offering it, talk to your customers again. You have in your CRM, hopefully you have a CRM. In that CRM, you've got a whole bunch of customers. They're people who you've done business with. Asking them for their opinion and their feedback makes them feel like they're more a part of your business and that they're more attached to you. And it just builds this great kumbaya. So that is how I would do it. Searching around, see who else is offering that. And then going through and analyzing your customers that you've already been working with to see if there's a need for it. Next question. Should I charge more for a ceramic coating on SUVs and trucks compared to sedans? So generally speaking, if it's going to take you more labor I always did personally do a little upcharge for that. This is again kind of come down to sort of a volume thing. I think at Damon's shop in Omaha, Nebraska, they sort of have a more simplified menu. And I believe they just kind of take the average of you've got big ones coming in, you've got small ones coming in. Our cost of business is X, and we're going to sell our ceramic coatings for this much money. If you want an extra step of polishing, then there's an additional charge. That's really, really up to you. If you're a small business where you don't have the volume to compensate maybe for those ebbs and flows, and because you could get hammered with 10 SUVs in a row and then one Miata, or it could be the other way around. So maybe that would be a differentiator, what kind of volume that you have coming in, because it's going to affect your bottom line a lot more. How do I educate customers about the benefits of ceramic coatings without it sounding too technical? Great question. I was guilty as charged when I had my detailing business. The company that I was working with at the time had a chemist for the CEO, so everybody on staff, we all thought that we were chemists also. Somebody would call and I would start dropping too many big names and trying to sound like I knew what I was talking about and that I was important. And you can really have the customer glaze over. Again, only thing that customer, who is the hero of their story, it cares about is what's in it for me. How is this going to make my life better? How am I going to survive and thrive? What's my life going to look like without this? And the bird dropping example was one. Having a warranty that you can call from all 50 states, that's still going to be viable even if your detailer goes out of business, even if Owner's Pride goes out of business, because there's a real insurance company backing it. All very, very, very good. Easier to clean. By asking questions to people, you'll know what their thing, what's important to them. Like I tell this story all the time, but I had access to ceramic coatings. I've had this car for 13 years. It was only last June that I put a ceramic coating on it because we got OPX, the self-healing ceramic coating, and I have not polished it since. Okay. What's the best way to market new services like ceramic coatings PPF to existing clients? I think that a strategy of a solid email nurture campaign is very big. I think maybe putting something out there. I'm kind of borrowing a little idea from my buddy Christian that he did. They brought in a service and they offered, they sent out a list to a couple thousand clients, and they said the first 2 or 3 that contact us are going to get this really good deal on it because it was something new. Well, they sent that out, and within a couple of minutes, they started getting people inquiring about it. So that's really smart. Having a solid email nurture campaign where you can let your customers know and keep them in the loop of things that you're doing, and asking them for their feedback is really, really huge. You know already that I'm a proponent of short videos, so doing short videos on it and offering educational and entertaining information is the way to go. If you're working with a marketing company, doing marketing for that specifically, where you're really drilling down into the proper customer and making sure that everything is going to the right place, is also a big deal. All right, so that's going to wrap up today's session on maximizing revenue through add-on services and how to properly assess your ROI before you dive into any new services. You really need to take the time to do your research, calculate your costs, and make sure that it's something that your customers actually want. ROI is going to be your best friend when it comes to making business decisions that are smart. Did you see? Yeah, you can do all these things without, but I hate to see people waste money or get taken advantage of. So thank you everybody so much for taking some time out of your day to hang out with me here. Next week, Damon will be back. We will have another lively business discussion. Any questions and comments, you can leave them for us on the Owner's Pride podcast page or on the Details podcast page. If you're one of our installers, hit me up. We're rolling out with the Behind the Buffers again, and I would love to have you on and tell your story. Until next time, I think you guys know what's coming. I think you do. Stay glossy.